Welcome to episode 184 of the Fully In It podcast. How do you start your days? Do you have a rhythm or routine, or are you feeling behind from the moment you wake up? In this episode, I'm sharing my favorite tips for creating a morning routine that works even if you have a baby or little ones, or even an empty nest. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? So let's first start with a little bit of honesty. I have not always had a really good morning routine. There were a lot of years in my motherhood journey where I would just wake up with the kiddos. So whenever they woke up for the day, they would come in, they would wake me up and say, Mommy, where's breakfast? What are we eating? What are we doing? And I would feel so incredibly behind. I would feel cranky. And I would start my day with just a bit of frustration and feeling like I just couldn't get caught up. I was also typically pretty exhausted because I had stayed up too late the night before, typically like just watching a show or being on my phone, and then getting up in the night with little kids too. And so that sleep deprivation was also layered on top of it. I wanted to feel more ready for the day. I wanted to feel purposeful and productive and prepared, but it was anything but. Now, today is a far cry from that. I'm up by about 6 a.m., even with an 11-week-old baby, and I follow my morning routine so that I feel calm and prepared for the day ahead, even before my 4 kiddos are awake. And so on today's episode, I want to just encourage you and offer you some of the tips I have learned over the years about morning routines. There are so many ways to do this. There are so many different recommendations. So obviously, I can't cover it all. And there are plenty of people out there who have written on morning routines that you can absolutely go and look into. But I'm going to offer the ones that work really well if you just want a simple routine that is dependable and that will set you up for a really good day, whether that's being at home with your kids, homeschooling, going to work, running your business from home, or having an empty home and you being there. Whatever it is, this will serve you. So whenever we're thinking about morning routines, the most important thing is that you have to start your morning routine the night prior. So what I typically do is I prep for bed about 2 hours before I know I'm going to sleep, and I will get my bedroom ready for bed around dinner time. For me, what this looks like is I turn on my red light lamp. So this is a lamp next to my bed that doesn't have any blue light, and it's really good for just calming your mind down so you're not getting that really bright, harsh blue light that tells your brain it's the middle of the day and ultimately like interferes with your sleep. So instead, I have the red light. It's very lovely. It's cozy. I will set out some diapers for changes in the middle of the night. I will put a glass of water, my vitamins, my contacts, just anything that I think that I will need so that when my baby is ready to go to bed, I'm not running around or missing things that I want to have for sleep. I also give my newborn baby a bath typically before dinner time. I will do this around like 4 or 5 p.m. because that way it doesn't interfere with dinner prep and eating dinner, but also if I waited till after dinner, she's usually very tired at that point and the bath is not going to happen. So I get her dressed for bed before dinner. And then after dinner, we do a clean sweep as a family. I feel like this deserves its own episode, but I'm just going to give you the short version of it now. Everyone chips in and we set a timer for 30 minutes and we get all the main areas of the house clean and the dishwasher started and everything done so that when I wake up in the morning, the house is fairly clean and I love that feeling. I don't know about you, but if I wake up and the sink is full of dishes and there's stuff out on the counters, I feel behind. And I don't like that feeling. And so taking care of it the night prior is just the best. I don't know why. I think it took me a while to get to this point. So if you're not there yet, don't feel bad, but now that I'm this many years into motherhood, having a clean house before bed is just, it is like chef's kiss. It is the best. And then after the clean sweep, I will talk to the big kids and say goodnight to them and pray with them. And then I take the baby and we go to bed around 8:30. Whether or not the bigger kids are asleep, Kirk will take care of them in that case. But she and I will go to bed around 8:30. And before I fall asleep, I will spend a little bit of time just reviewing and planning for the next day, strategizing, thinking about what's coming up. How do I want it to go? Who do I want to be as I move through my day? And I feel like this is kind of like planting mental seeds the night prior so that you wake up ready to go in the morning. So for you, if you're listening to all of this, I just want you to think about, what do you need to do to proactively set up for your morning routine the night prior? And I feel like maybe this goes without saying, but I'm going to mention it anyway. I don't stay up late and watch shows. I don't scroll on my phone. I mean, I think I talked a few episodes ago. I got rid of all social media on my phone. So there's really no temptation. I might read before bed just a little bit. And I do have an amber reading light, one of those ones you can clip onto your book so that it's just a really soft light that, again, doesn't interfere with my sleep. But other than that, no late nights. And if you're more of a night person and this is something you struggle with, you may want to work on getting up in the morning, even when you're tired. And I'll talk about this more here in a minute, but getting that morning sunlight on your face can help to reset your circadian rhythm so that your sleep isn't off. And I also don't drink caffeine anymore. So, I know sometimes that can impact sleep too. Like, let's say if you have a coffee at 4 p.m., you could be really wired at 10 p.m. and unable to go to sleep. So I would just kind of ask yourself, what shifts do I need to make so that my body is ready to go to sleep at a time that's good for you? I mean, I'm all about the 8:30, 9 p.m., but maybe for you it's 10. Figure out what works for you, and especially how many hours of sleep you need each night to feel your best. I'm trying to make up for getting up in the night with the baby, so I'm going to bed extra early in order that I'm getting the amount of sleep that I need. The next step in this process is to wake up earlier than you think you need to. I've coached so many people on morning routines, and then I've just seen in my own life that if you give yourself too little time, you won't take a morning routine at all. If you try to cut it too close, you're like, I'll just give myself 15 minutes in the morning. You're most likely to just sleep through that. I find that there is something that happens when you wake up really, really early. It's almost like your brain's like, this is novel and different. And it gives you the capacity that you need to get up and to figure out how to move through a morning routine before the little people, or maybe even the big people in your life, wake up. Now, for me, my baby wakes up sometime between 4:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. for a nurse and a diaper change. And at this point is when I will get up for the day, even though I feel tired. I could sleep more. I want to be clear on that. Could I sleep more? 100% yes. I choose not to, because the value of having a morning routine and having some time to myself in the morning is far more valuable to me than some extra sleep. Now, occasionally, like once a week, maybe I will sleep in a little bit later, especially if it's like starting to stack up and then I had some bad sleep the night prior, then I will, because I'm not a total robot. But in general, I stick to this. So ask yourself, what time could you reasonably get up in the morning to give yourself a large enough window for your desired morning routine? My morning routine is about an hour long, maybe an hour and a half if I have extra time. So nothing crazy. I'm not trying to fit everything into my morning routine. I'm just trying to take care of myself in the morning so I feel good for the rest of the day. And maybe that's the takeaway for you too, is like, this doesn't have to fit in all of your goals and aspirations. You don't have to get up and work out and work on your business and prep for the day and journal and read and meditate. And I don't know what are all the things that people talk about putting in morning routines. It's like, what's going to actually work for you and what just feels like you're trying to check a box. The things that are just checking a box, you can definitely let those go. And the other thing is, what would you need to believe about the value of waking up early to actually do it? Because there will be that moment when your alarm goes off, you open your eyes, you're going to be tempted to roll over and go back to sleep. So what are you going to turn to? Why does this matter so much to you? When I was first setting a morning routine, when my kids were younger, part of my why was that I wanted to be a better mom for my kids. I didn't want to be tired, reactive, frustrated, and behind. I wanted my kids to have a good experience in their day too, and I knew that that started with me. Then later on, my why began to shift. As I was committed to growing my business so that we could go travel full time and we could, pursue these dreams that we had, part of my why was I needed to get work done on my business first thing in the morning because I was going to be very hands-on with my kiddos the rest of the day and I didn't know if I would get any other time. So my morning routines have shifted over the years and I allow them to adapt to the season that I'm in. My current morning routine is a lot softer now just because I have a new baby and I intentionally lightened my load. I also want to encourage you to follow the same rhythm every morning. The reason we want to do this is that when you're tired and you're just waking up, it's helpful not to have to think through, like, I don't know, what should I do? But instead just follow the same plan every single time. So I'm going to share a little bit about my current morning routine, but just know that it's looked so different over the years. There's no right or wrong way to do a morning routine, but I know sometimes it's helpful just to hear what other people do. So for me, I drink a glass of ice water as soon as I wake up, and then I take herbs for my heart. Then I'll make myself a hot cacao. I used to drink coffee, and I've been having heart issues for a while now. I mean, I've been having them for over a decade, but they got worse again. And so I'm really trying to cut out anything that could be remotely stimulating and impact my heart. And so the hot cacao, oh my goodness, it gives me that feeling like coffee, but it's not stimulating. It's pretty healthy. And I like to blend mine up with some grass-fed butter. I put some collagen in there and a little bit of honey or date syrup and maybe a sprinkle of cinnamon. And it is just the best. And so now I look forward to that like I used to look forward to coffee, but I don't need it. And here's the really cool thing, if you've thought about giving up coffee, is I feel less tired now than I did when I was drinking coffee all the time because, the thing about coffee is that it blocks your adenosine receptors. That's what alerts you to when you're tired so that you just don't feel that you're tired. It kind of masks that. And now that I don't have that all in my system, I may get naturally tired, but I don't feel as tired as I did when I was drinking coffee. And again, I don't know why, but that's just something to encourage you if you've thought about giving it up. And then after I make the hot cacao, I will go sit out on our lanai, which is just like a screened porch, and the sun is rising, and I will read my Bible. I'm doing like a Bible in a year study, and I will get some natural light on my face. This is really good for waking you up and getting your circadian rhythm in check for the day. I also then give myself about 20 minutes to read an encouraging mom book to just motivate myself. And so there's a couple that I've been working through, and it's just a way for me to remind myself, why am I doing what I am doing? And to, build up that motivation to hit the ground running once my kids are awake. I may also do some light journaling to get my mindset in the right place as well, especially if I'm noticing like I woke up with any kind of funky thoughts or anxiety. This is one of my favorite ways to just reset is by doing some journaling practices. And then shower, I get dressed, and I do these things if the baby hasn't woken up. If the baby's woken up, then I may not get the shower in, but I try to get dressed for the day because, again, this is kind of part of the mindset. It's really tempting for me to stay in my pajamas all day because I'm home, like, right? Like I can. But I find I'm way more productive if I actually get dressed, put on a little makeup, brush my hair, do all of those things that help me feel really put together. So I would just think too about like, what do you need to feel ready and productive for the day? And then the last thing I do is typically by now the baby would be awake. And so I take her and we go wake up her big siblings. And they love this because I will put her on top of them like in turn. And then they open their eyes and she's like staring at them and they hug her and they're so happy. And it's like the sweetest thing. And I'll sing to them. And then we go and we have breakfast together and we start our homeschooling routine, which is a whole nother rhythm that we're not going to get into in this podcast, but that's kind of what mine looks like. But the next tip I want to offer you is don't try to do too much. I know it's tempting. There is so much you could do in a morning routine, and I named a bunch of that here a moment ago. But I think it's really easy to overwhelm yourself and then to do nothing at all. If you tell yourself you have to get everything done, it's likely you'll get nothing done. So less is always better because then you're more likely to do it. So keep your morning routine really light, build the habit, get used to doing it. And then at that point, if you want to add more, you absolutely can. The next thing I want to remind you of is to just know yourself. Are you the type of person who will wake up and work out first thing in the morning? If not, don't put that in your plan. Because what ends up happening is if you tell yourself, I'm going to work out every morning, and then you're not actually that kind of person, you'll start to feel guilty. You'll feel bad about yourself. And it's just unnecessary. Work out later in the day or, go for a walk with a friend, but don't set yourself up to fail if that's not the kind of person that you are. I personally like to see my morning routine as an opportunity to fill my cup as a mother and as a business owner so that then I'm able to fill everybody else's cup later and throughout the day. Some other small tips I just want to offer you that will help this go a bit more smoothly for you. Don't look at your phone until your morning routine is done. It's very tempting the second you wake up to pick up your phone and get on Instagram, check the news, do all these things. You are hijacking your brain by doing that. Not to mention the blue light on your phone is going to throw your brain into confusion and mess up your circadian rhythm, which will then impact your sleep later on. So what you could do if you need to set an alarm is you could just get like an actual alarm clock. They still make those. You can get one for about like $10 on Amazon. Or I have like settings on my phone so that it's really dim and there's no bright light or blue light coming out of it. You can search that, look at that online. You can figure out how to, dim down your phone, but that can be helpful as well. And then turn off your alarm and throw your phone away from you. Don't look at it again until you get through your morning routine. I also keep the lights in my house dim until the sun is up. So one of the first things I'll do is if there's even a little bit of light outside, I go around and I open up all the shades. And I have a lamp in our living room that is like amber red light instead of blue. And I can also turn that on if I need a little bit more light, but I don't our house is like full of LEDs and they're like the really bright white ones. So I don't turn any of those on. Really, actually, most of the time. I'm not a big fan of lights, so I tend to leave them off most of the time and just leave all the shades open. But find what works for you, but I would not wake up and then immediately turn on all your bright lights. If your kids wake up too early for you to do a morning routine, like you'd have to get up at 3 a.m. to make it happen, then just do your morning routine in the afternoon, like during nap time or late morning during nap time or before you go to bed. Right? You could do a really beautiful routine right before bed that would set you up nicely for the next day. you get to make it what you want. It doesn't have to be a morning routine, like in the actual morning, for it to be incredibly beneficial. Now, if you're in a season where you have lots of time, like maybe your kids are in school or they're out of the house, they're adults, don't let your morning routine drag out all day. Sometimes we do this, right? If we feel like we have plenty of time, we will use up time that we didn't mean to doing nothing. So give yourself a time that you're going to start the work portion of your day, even if that's just around your home. So give yourself like a deadline for how long your morning routine can last. And then finally, don't beat yourself up if it takes you some time to set your morning routine and stick to it. This is a practice more than anything. It's a discipline, but it will pay dividends for you. And it was one of the best things I ever did was establish a morning routine for myself. So I strongly encourage you, if this episode is speaking to you and maybe you've been putting it off, or maybe you fell off the wagon, life got busy and you lost your morning routine, it's no big deal. Just start it back up again and do what you need to do to get that in place so that you feel well-resourced and supported to go throughout the rest of your day. Okay, I hope that this episode was helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, would you please leave a review for me on Apple, or I'm not sure where, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you can leave a review. My podcast is everywhere. I would just love that so much because it lets other people know that this podcast is worth listening to, that it is worth their time. There are so many podcasts out there, and I just really appreciate that you chose to listen to mine. So thank you so much. And this episode is also coming out Mother's Day weekend in the US. So happy Mother's Day to you. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will see you on the next episode.